live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. You have stumbled upon the Gamer Social Club podcast. I mean, the party chat. I got to get used to that. And I am your host, One Hot Dragon, and I am joined with Candy Bomb, and I am joined with King of the Cask, Sean. How are you guys?
Hello. Good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm just peachy freaking keen. Isn't that right, Anya? My daughter just came over to see what I was doing.
Hi, Anya.
Hello.
They said hi. So today we are going to be talking about Candy and Sean going to go see PAX East and their experience there. Talk a little bit of video games, talk about what we've been up to and playing. But before that, let me tell you about the Gamer Social Club. It is a place where gamers from all around the world come and share their love for video games together in a positive environment. Our goal is to give gamers a platform to share their experiences, to add to the conversation in the games industry, and to give more gamers a sense of community, and to bring a little more happiness into your life. That's a lot of ands. I feel like I read that wrong. Gamer Social Club started out as a book club for gamers, and it is still going strong. Join us in the Discord channel. There is a link to join our Discord channel in the description below, where we have a game of the month every month, and we vote on it. Right now, the game we are playing is Doom: The Dark Ages, just like everybody else in the world right now. So that we're just chatting about that this month. We have yet to vote on what the month of June is going to be, but I'm sure that vote is going to be up soon. Then let's see. Feel like I skipped over something. I don't care. We're gonna. We're on Twitch. For everybody who's already on Twitch, you already know this. So this is our first time as Gamer Social Club going on Twitch, and it is our first time like co-streaming and doing it multiple places. So bear with us as we get our bearings here. I just discovered Restream for the first time in my life, so I don't know. Maybe we'll reach more people now. So all right. So I like to usually start off with some spicy questions or whatnot, especially to Sean. This is your first time being on the show, so what has been your hottest take in gaming?
Majora's Mask is better than Ocarina of Time.
That's fair. That's fair.
You'd be surprised how many people throw a fit about that.
Really?
Many.
Okay.
Yes. I have yet to run into somebody. The only person I know that has this stance that I have spoken to, two people. Mike F. Plays, who does not stream anymore on Twitch, and the Anime Man, who's a big YouTuber. He's the only other person I know who has the take that Majora's Mask is better than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
And I stand by it. It is a darker, more interesting story. I am not saying to anything to belittle the story of Link in Hyrule. I think the story in Termina is better.
Okay. All right. That's a hot take. I'm down with it. See, the thing about it for me is I can't sit here and really have too much of a conversation about it, because my experience with Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time was playing like the first hour or two of it over and over and over and over again, because I was just a child with my brain was made of mush. So I was like, this is Majora's Mask.
I think it was also, for a lot of people, it was one of their first forays into what if there's an actual time element of this game that you do have to manipulate. A lot harder than Ocarina of Time had time manipulation, but it was really like, okay, are you gonna be Kid Link or are you gonna be adult Link?
Yeah.
In Majora's Mask, no, you actually have to factor in when you're doing things, what time it is, where you're doing certain things, and what time of the 3 days that it is. And also, I think it's really cool. It's basically Groundhog Day for Link, and that's why I like it.
Yeah. Now, so games like that don't stress you out, like whenever you're okay. So were you a fan of Dead Rising then? Random question, because that's the only other game. Okay.
Never played it.
Yeah, Dead Rising 2, it has like the time limit, and some of my friends, they were like, I can't even touch it. I just get way too stressed out about it. But for me, I was like, let's speed run this thing. Faster.
Yeah. That's there's literally end of end of Majora's Mask, that's basically what you have to do. You have to speedrun all the bosses again to then go to the final fight.
That's awesome. That's
Which is
awesome.
fun. I love it.
Yeah. And then Candy, what's your hottest take in gaming? I'm excited for this.
I mean, I have multiples, especially considering who I married, which, newsflash, it's King.
What?
So
No.
I don't. Whose woman's is this? She's not my woman.
So let's see. Ones that always make people upset. Stardew sucks. It's overrated, right? I don't see the appeal in these like fake cozy games. Pokemon is repetitive and has been repetitive for the last 20 years, and it's a kids game, and I don't know why people get so upset when I say that it's a kids game. All right, this is also gonna be blasphemous. I think Soulsborne games are overrated.
Oh, it looks like
I know that's
something's going on with the network connection. It looks like we're about to lose Candy. I don't know what's going on. No, I'm just playing around. You're fine.
I know. I have some very hot takes. Okay? I know.
Yep.
I have gotten to sit through many of her playing some of the Souls games on stream as community challenges.
Really?
And, it's a trip watching her play.
Okay, here's the thing, right? I understand the appeal of some of these games, right? I do. And I have literally had times where I go on 30-minute long rants about some of these games.
Yeah.
I see the appeal. They're not for me, right? And I am definitely the type of person. Oh, wait, hold on. Before I finish the statement, what is the rating on this? Cursing, no cursing?
Oh, I didn't. The only thing I didn't do when I set up the Twitch was I didn't put crazy explicit. I don't know if that changes anything, but I mean, I would assume we could drop F-bombs here and there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would have been banned a long time ago. I have gone on just full on rants about some of these things, and before I talk shit about something, I will try it, right?
Yeah.
So I will not just talk uneducated nonsense. So I have tried Soulsborne games. I have tried Pokemon games, right? I have tried Stardew, but they will not change my mind. They're overrated.
She's a hater through experience.
Well,
Listen,
hey,
I
I respect that.
Okay?
Yeah.
I respect that you at least gave it a shot before actually talking about it. I mean, there's so many people out there who will talk before they even try it. So, which ones specifically have you tried though?
So I have tried Bloodborne. I've tried Elden Ring. I have tried Dark Souls 3.
Okay.
I have tried the original Pokemon as an old person. I think I had Red. I tried Sun or Moon. I don't remember.
You had Sun.
Well, see, there's your problem right there. You had to play Blue. it was just far superior.
Played the wrong one.
Yep.
Somewhere in this house we have Scarlet or Violet or the one that came out before that.
I have Violet.
Okay.
So I have Violet. I haven't finished it, but.
And then I did make people angry when I said I'll do a community challenge and I'll play a Pokemon game. So we hit the challenge and I played Let's Go Pikachu, and people were livid. They were like, "This is not a real Pokemon game." And I was like, "Listen, I didn't say which Pokemon game. I said I would play one."
The one game you said you are still willing to give a chance, and only it's because Spike Chunsoft worked on it, was the Mystery Dungeon games.
Yep. Yeah, but those don't play like Pokemon games.
No, they don't. They're basically they just happen to have Pokemon in them, essentially.
Exactly. And look, I will say there is billions of dollars between me and Pokemon, right? So they are doing something right. And again, I see the appeal, I see the comfort in it, I see the nostalgia, but that ain't it for me, fam.
Nah, I actually get that, because I mean the thing is I mean Pokemon, it always does have a protagonist as a a child, and it's I mean, I can't argue with the fact that it is a kid's game, and millennials just still love the nostalgia for it, and there's nothing wrong with that nostalgia, but also it's a kid's game, so let's be real here.
Let's just be real with what it is, right? It's
Yep.
formulaic, right? You leave home, a professor gives you a starter Pokemon, you go to every gym, you collect your badges, and you become the best. That's it. Like there is nothing else to it at its core. So except more cute Pokemon.
You gotta collect them all though. You gotta collect them all though. That's the thing.
Remember back in the day when you had to actually play with somebody else to collect them all? You had to actually plug your Game Boy. And, now people don't even do that. So the whole connect with people so that you can play together.
Yeah.
We have decided now we don't want to play with nobody. We'll just buy both versions ourselves.
Yep.
So really, we've ruined the game.
It's very true though. I remember that
ruining their own franchise. That never happens.
Dude, I remember having that freaking cord. I was so stoked when I got it, and the most trading I ever did was with common Pokemon, because I only had one friend who actually played it with me. But Pokemon is fantasy for us kids to run away. Yep. And for me, it's that thing of Assassin's Creed. I understand and I respect the opinion that Assassin's Creed is just a hey, run off and hashtag fuck you, Steve. But that's the thing about Assassin's Creed or games like Far Cry. I respect that they aren't some game that's top tier Metal Gear Solid or Death Stranding, but it's a comfort food for me. In fact, I don't know if you guys ever saw, I talk about it all the time because it's one of my favorite pieces I'd done at Gamer Social Club. Is I wrote an article about Ubisoft is the Tyson chicken nuggets. And
I did see that. You're not wrong.
But and that's kind of Shadows is probably I feel like it's my personal game of the year, just like I felt like Diablo 4 was my personal game of the year, but not in a way of, oh no, honestly, I think that year, that was 2023, can't remember what anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Realistically, my game of the year is probably going to be Split Fiction, but, I spent the most time in Assassin's Creed Shadows. These games are games that, I just feel like they regulate me, if that makes sense. I feel at home whenever I'm playing one, I could just put endless hours in and do it over again. And I feel like the same thing goes for people who are obsessed with Pokemon. I'm really into Pokemon, but I am not obsessed with it. When it comes to the games and stuff. The last time I put excessive amounts of hours into a Pokemon game was Pokemon X. I think I put 180 hours into that one.
That's a throwback in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because I think X was late 2000s, early 2010s, I think.
Wasn't it the first one for 3DS? I'm wanting to say that would have been 2011 or 2012 maybe. I don't know. Something.
Wait, what's your guess, King? What year?
I'm gonna say 2010, and I did pull it up, but I didn't see what year it was.
Trivia time. Did you already look it up?
2013.
Holy crap,
actually.
Dude! The same year that freaking PS4 and Xbox One came out. That surprises me.
Put it in perspective. I had finished grad school at that point. I'm I thought it was older.
That's the year I graduated.
You were an adult at one point?
I'm still not an adult.
No.
I was saying, you're not adults? What are you talking about?
Nope. Oh man, we play Pokemon, Candy. Okay, we never got there.
My office is filled with Animal Crossing plushies. I love it.
I love it. I got Pokemon plushies in my car. Okay.
Listen, here's the thing. I too have Pokemon plushie, right?
Yep.
I had a Pikachu. I have a Cubone. I think they're cute, right? I'm not stopping any of that, right? But again, I'm just let's call it what it is, right? If you're yes, it's a game for kids, but I enjoy it. Cool, go off, have fun.
Yeah.
Just don't get mad when I tell you it's a game for kids.
Right. So what have you guys been playing lately? Either one of you can go first.
I've been playing a game that I'm reviewing for Gamer Social Club. Can't fully talk about it yet. The write-up's gonna come out in 3 days because that's when the embargo's finally lifted on it. But before I was doing that, I was finally playing Cyberpunk because it only took me forever and a day to get to that game. And I've been enjoying it. It definitely gets a little repetitive at points.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's the main storyline in and of itself is really, really good. Doing the side gigs, it's like, go here, get this person out of this place. Go here, get this one object. Go here, take out all these people. And it's like, no matter what faction you're, like, no matter what fixer you're doing in it for whatever neighborhood it is in Cyberpunk, it boils down to the same 3 or 4 mission types essentially. So it gets a little,
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where it's basically like I'm just grinding through the side gigs because the mission itself is like, if you start this mission, you cannot do anything else moving forward. I'm like, oh, we're already at this point in the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So-
That's crazy. Yeah, no, I haven't played Cyberpunk yet, so I I really want to. Yeah.
It's fun. I definitely am enjoying my time with it. I'm glad I didn't play it at launch. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Because I have seen. Don't get me wrong. There's still plenty of glitches in it. They didn't get them all out. They're still there.
And they're done with it.
Oh yeah, they're CD
Yeah.
Projekt Red is done because
Yeah.
they're focusing on that new one that they did at the Game Award that they showed the like teaser
Aren't they
trailer
on?
for. I think
Wait, aren't they Witcher 4?
is it Witcher
Oh yeah.
4 or is it?
Yeah, that's what you're for. Yeah.
You're thinking the game from Naughty Dog.
That's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm thinking of.
I got
Yeah.
you.
Damn, it's crazy that you knew that.
Oh shit! This is what being together for over a decade does. Is that she knows what I'm thinking. It's just I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
I totally understand. Totally understand.
That's what I've been up to.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, Cyberpunk, I think shit, I was going to say something but the thought slipped my mind. Candy, to you.
So Monster Train 2 just came out, and I've been playing that a whole bunch, which is a lot of fun to get like the deck builder roguelike thing out. I was actually playing it literally 30 minutes ago. And then on my Switch, I'm playing the 100 Line Last Defense Academy, which is like a visual novel / strategy game / like life sim. And I was like, oh, like at first I was like, this can't be so bad, right? The game is great, but it's gonna take me like 200 hours to finish because this game has 100 different endings. I was like, holy
Really?
crap.
How
I did not realize the investment that this was.
Oh gosh.
You're not complaining about it. What are you talking about?
I'm not complaining about it. One of the co-creators, Kodaka's his last name. I can't remember his first name right now. He did like the Danganronpa series, and he's done a lot of like murder mystery things, and that's like usually his thing. And I love the Danganronpa games, so all about them. So when this game came out, I was like, I'm ordering it. I'm getting like the.
Send something to the chat if you. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing green lights now. Oh my gosh. Sorry everybody. My computer crashed on me, and whenever I look over at OBS, I am only scared slightly by my lag. So hopefully my computer doesn't like crash again. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a you problem. Get over it. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, okay. There, I got the audio for you guys. Damn it. Yeah, sorry. Your guys' audio wasn't coming through, but we got it now.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out.
No one heard my 5-minute apology to the Pokemon gods.
Yes, nobody heard that.
Nobody heard me taking a dig at the state of the yen.
Yeah. No, nobody did actually. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Listen, I'm just talking world economics. That's what the world is right now.
Listen, we game to escape the world. Why are you bringing economics into this?
Listen, some people really like economics games. Have you played Civ?
Oh gosh,
Yes.
no, I haven't actually.
Civ is a fun game.
I mean that everybody swears by it, but yeah, no, I feel like when it comes to simulation games like that, I feel like Warhammer, the Total War one, I can get into
That's
that.
fair.
I can get into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Candy, you were before we crashed, you were talking about a collector's edition you just bought for what game now?
For the 100-line Academy, or the 100-line Last Defense Academy, which is the like Kodaka game. If you know like the Danganronpa games, it's that one. And it came with so much stuff. I still haven't read the book that it came with. It came with like a poster. It came with pins. It came with like character cards. It came with so much stuff. It was like $100. The game itself was $60, and then an extra $40 for the collectible. I did like a whole like unboxing one day on stream because I was like, look at how much stuff is in it, and I was so excited to dig into it.
Yeah.
I don't buy a lot of physical things just because of space constraints, but this was one I had to cave.
Yeah. Shoot, I'm very lost. That crash also crashed my brain, I'm telling you. But
it happens.
yeah, so honestly, with all that happening, let's just go ahead and dig into PAX.
Yeah.
So Candy, do you want to start us off since you got the notes?
I do have the notes.
I have the note sheet open. I didn't write anything about it, but I see the topics of conversation.
Yeah. Thanks, King.
Welcome.
So, I figure starting with like what even is PAX, because I feel like we say PAX so much, but if you've never been to a convention or like you just have no idea what it is, maybe you just started getting into gaming and you're like, what is this thing? So overall, PAX is short for Penny Arcade Expo, if you want a little history. But they've been doing gaming conventions for about 15 years, if not longer. They started out in Seattle and then expanded to Boston. They had one in Texas for a little bit. It's no longer there. And then one in Australia, because apparently there's enough gamers in Australia that we need one, out there. And it's really a time where people celebrate gaming in all sorts of different ways. They've even expanded to have like a tabletop one. So they call it PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia, where there's no actual video games and it's just board games and RPGs and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
PAX Unplugged is a pretty solid. As
is.
people who are board gamers as well, we love PAX Unplugged too.
Yeah. So it's really cool. And what has been interesting the last couple of years, and I know some people don't love it, I love it, but there are a lot less big names that are going to PAX East, which is both good and bad, right? But I think there's been more benefits because it gives more time for like the double A's, the indies, like a time to shine, right? So even this con, this past one, there were only a few big booths or setups, and then everything else was like indie games.
And really, one of the biggest setups wasn't even for a video game.
Oh, really?
They're doing a Final Fantasy collaboration with Magic the Gathering. So I guess you could reason that technically there is an MTG Arena online, but they really were promoting no, it's the actual card game itself, which is like, okay. But like beyond that, it was Larian Studios had their big setup again for Baldur's Gate 3. There was a big domed, I don't know what, because you couldn't see it, for Elden Ring Night Rain. And I think that was it when it came to big booths. I can't think of anybody else that really had a really big setup. Beyond like some of the bigger tech companies, like I know Samsung had a pretty big setup. I think Alienware had one as well. But
Alien
even
had
like
Lenovo had one,
Mhm.
and then the other, I'll call it somewhat big, was Marvelous Games and Xseed Games, which is the ones who are putting out like the new Rune Factory game. But
Okay,
even
yeah.
with how big their booth was, it wasn't just for one game or one title. It was actually 3 or 4 games that they had on display. So a fairly big space, but not like for one game the way like Elden Ring had it for one game. And Ilarian space was really just to sell stuff.
Yeah, it was a very interesting. And again, we both love Baldur's Gate 3 in this house. It was a very interesting move to bring the whole setup that they had at the last PAX East, which was this big castle. They had people cosplaying as some of the characters for photo shoots, and basically it was like, come take some pictures and maybe buy some merch. But the merch was also stuff you could buy online, so it kind of begged the question, why do I need to get it here, essentially?
Nah,
That was like that was a little. I mean, whatever.
There was one other big game. There was one other big game. Dune Awakening had their booth too.
Oh, really?
Dune Awakening.
Yeah, Dune Awakening had a booth. They had the big Shai-Hulud, like the sandworm.
Okay.
So, which was cool for photo ops. But I mean, and like you were able to do a little bit of like because I believe the early access is up and running now for Dune Awakening, and I think you were able to test it there, but I think you had to basically get there online first thing in the morning or you weren't playing, essentially.
Okay.
So
yeah, it was crazy. Then the last big one that like everybody who walked in was like, I've never heard of this game, was Crimson Desert.
Yeah. Had nobody had ever heard of it? Really?
No.
Well, because you didn't know what it was. They were just like Crimson Desert, right? And it was like, okay, so what is this, right? And it was just like everything was hidden with the exception of they had a few screens, but it was like, what is this game about, right? Like, what is it? And then they made you go through like a show basically before they let you play the game.
Yeah.
And then people were upset, or not, I shouldn't say everybody was upset, but some people were like, they threw us into a boss battle with like with the demo. Like,
Yeah.
they were like, how do I play? You threw me into a boss battle, how do I play? And I was like, that's a great question. I don't know how you play.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, Crimson Desert has been around for a while now, though, hasn't it? Or am I thinking of something totally different? Because
I think you're thinking something different. Because this Crimson Desert was the first time it's like made it over to the U.S.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Jeff, who from Interactive Distractions, this is something he's really stoked about. I think he even cast it in his fantasy critic that we got going on right now. So yeah, or somebody did. I can't remember. Black Desert. Thank you. That was the game I was thinking of. Black Desert. Yep. Thank you. That's what I was thinking of.
It looks very pretty. It reminds me of. It's definitely feels Souls-like based on what I saw of like the TVs that they had showing on the side of the booth.
Oh, so it's right up Candy's alley.
I looked at it right up Candy's alley. But for me, maybe I would eventually check it out. But I mean, it's also one of those things where I'm like, I wasn't waiting on like an hour-long line to go look at it, honestly.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean,
then everything else was like more indie, double A, which again was cool. But none of those had like just one game on display.
Yeah.
They had multiple, right? So it'd be like, here's our studio with like 3 to 4 games.
Yeah,
but I
like
appreciate that.
Devolver was the biggest one. Like I think Devolver has definitely been like the biggest indie one now that they have there every year. Devolver. The one thing I really, really love about PAX East is they have a whole section devoted to literally games from Poland, because Poland is such a big game developing area now in the world. That there's a whole section there that I think there was easily 15 different games there, all from development studios in Poland.
Oh my god.
And when I say development studios, it's like 2 people. That's the crazy part, is that it's basically like I was able to demo a couple of games there, and literally one of the dudes, he's like the game next to the one I was demoing, he's like, this is what pays my bills and allows me to put all the rest of my money into this that you're demoing right now.
Yeah.
So
wow. Okay. And then So a lot of the stuff at PAX East is mostly indies and double A's. Like you didn't see much triple A kind of stuff, huh?
No.
No,
Triple A.
not anymore.
No, Triple A is when we first start. When was the first year we went to PAX East? Like 2016, 2015, maybe.
2015, maybe that sounds right.
So that was back when like Square Enix would have a booth, Blizzard would have a booth, Bethesda would have a booth. Like those
Sony,
big companies,
Nintendo.
those big companies used to come there. They don't anymore. And I will say, the pandemic was definitely one of the big causes of that.
Yeah, I can see
Mhm.
that.
But also the move now to, I think that every studio has seen now, is that, well, Nintendo does their directs all the time and everyone tunes into it. Why do we need to send people to an expo or a convention when we can just do it online?
Yeah, I mean, it's a way to cut costs and time,
Mhm.
and absolutely. Why I wouldn't do it if I was them. It just seems silly. I mean, look at even Grand Theft Auto is a good example of that. They don't need Jeff Keighley. They don't need literally anything. They freaking put the announcement date for like when it comes out on like a little post, and the whole world freaked out. So like how it was a crazy drive for you guys. Like it was quite the trip to go to PAX East, wasn't it?
We didn't even drive. We took a train.
We took a train.
Oh, you took a train?
For context, we're right outside New York City, so
Okay.
for us, it's like, oh yeah, we're in the northeastern corner of the United States. I'm like, yeah, we can just hop on a train, because the drive isn't terrible there. It's how much parking costs in Boston.
Oh
my god.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's about, I think even at the hotel we were at, if I had put it on a lot myself, probably like a mile away from where we were staying, it probably would have been maybe like $20 a day. But to park it at the hotel, I think it's about $80 a day.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe. But we also lucked out too with the train costs. I think we bought them like more than a half a year in advance. I think our round trip tickets each were $60. So
Sheesh.
Yeah,
that's
one night of parking.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, you know when you get your PAX East tickets, right? So they usually go on sale, 5-6 months before the show, right? They actually go on sale pretty early, although recently they have not been selling out the way they used to.
No.
So I think we bought our PAX East tickets, and then that same weekend we were like, let's get the train.
Yeah. I think we looked at the train. I think we just out of curiosity looked and was like, oh, it can be $60. I'm like, I'm just buying this.
Yeah.
So
what were the things that made it special, like that Comic-Con versus not Comic-Con, against like say something like a Comic-Con or any other kind of convention? Do you guys go to many other conventions outside of this? Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, we're con goers. I mean, we do Anime NYC, we do New York Comic Con, although King City may not continue going to that one.
Last year was my last year. I'm not going anymore.
Was it just like really crazy or just?
It's New York Comic Con, unfortunately, Candy will not disagree with me on this front, is that New York Comic Con has become just a place to go shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really need that at a convention, honestly. Like, I like to be able to go look at things, talk to developers, things like that. Even New York Comic Con always has an artist alley. I have a lot of artwork in the house. A lot of artwork. Some of it's comic book art. Most of it is like fan art that's been done by artists. What happens at New York Comic Con now, there's one or two companies that buy up half of Artist Alley and send the same style of comic book artists that are doing the same things of Batman and Superman and Spider-Man. And I'm like, I like these characters, but I also like seeing variety in Artist Alley. When you make it solely the same style of artists of like the golden age, silver age of Marvel and DC, I'm like, I appreciate what that art is. It's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I think more and more, there's always going to be a fan base for those, but more and more that fan base is going to get smaller and smaller for that specific niche of art.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's what Comic Cons are all about, is like a place for you to discover those niches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
my wife's starting a small little business where she like makes customized dolls, and I'm like, oh, you should definitely start a stand at these Comic Cons and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and go to these conventions, because that's the first thing I think of when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
That's where you
Yeah.
go to get discovered. So yeah, if
Mm-hmm.
one big
Mm-hmm.
place is just buying up the whole, yeah, that makes it
Yeah.
a lot less interesting. I get that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to say I'm with Candy with this, because if you're anything like me, Sean, like you're just gonna
Mm-hmm.
see that one celebrity that's gonna be there, and you're like, oh damn it, I gotta meet that guy. you know.
That happened one time, and
Oh really?
it happened one time. It was one year I didn't go, and then I mean, and
Oh.
I'm a big sucker for cartoon, like older cartoons.
Mm.
They had the entire VA cast from the Animaniacs.
Oh yeah,
So
that's awesome.
Rob Paulson, Chess McNeil, and Josh Harnett.
Just for now.
Just Harnett, whatever. And I'm like, and so Candy bought a scalp ticket. I don't want to know how much of it cost.
It actually wasn't that bad. It wasn't
Yeah.
that bad.
It was only
But
$20,000.
but I will say, even now though, at Comic Con, even the New York Comic Con, even the guests, I'm like, I don't need to go see them. Like, it's tough now, and especially too, it's also gotten prohibitively expensive too.
Mhm.
Is the tough thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where-
Yeah, it has. It's gotten expensive, and I think like, even the shopping thing aside, I wouldn't mind the shopping piece if it weren't for the fact that like there are vendors. Because as with anything else, right? If you're a vendor or an exhibitor or whatever, you get to go on the show floor early. Fine, great, whatever. The problem is some of these vendors go on the show floor, they look at what everybody else has, they buy it before the actual fans who come in can buy it, and then they sell it at their own booth for like double the price.
Yeah, they mark it up.
Last year there was actually like a booth that was a resale booth. I was like, how are you doing this? Like, and again, I'm the type of person where I'm like, I don't want to go to a con just to buy stuff. I can go on Amazon, right? Like I can go wherever. Like I want to interact with like people who are making this, or the people who are doing this art, or whatever it is. And you don't get that at the big conventions for the most part anymore. You still get that at little ones.
Mhm.
And while PAX East isn't a little one by any means, because the nature of it with gaming, you can still talk to developers, right? They're still there. Yes, there are some that are just like the PR representatives if the developers can't be there, blah blah blah. But it is still much more like, try this out. Yes, there is going to be that person who's like, okay, now that you tried it, you're going to buy it, right? But it is very much like, try this. If you like it, wishlist it, come back, check it out, right? Whatever, let's have a conversation. It just feels more connected, interactive, personable than all the other like cons that are out there.
It feels more like it has a soul. Where I will say New
Yeah.
York Comic Con feels a little soulless now. It's just kind of like you're almost like, even going there, you just feel like you're getting cattle card down each aisle, just staring at like stuff. And I'm like, I don't need to pay. How much is a day ticket now? Isn't it like $80 for a day ticket, 1 day
90
ticket?
bucks, yeah.
It's I'm like I don't need to pay $100 to just go stand around a bunch of people in a crowd, and I already don't love crowds to begin with. So
Do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's way too much. And I even with Columbus one, I really love Columbus. Don't get me wrong, I'm always going to continue going no matter what. But like even this past year, I get what you're saying about the cost of it, because Hayden Christensen was the one for me that I'm like, oh, I'm going to give an arm and a leg to be able to get a picture and an autograph and all this stuff. And then I realized that my arm was only worth like one picture. I was like,
There was
yeah, I don't think
there
I
was-
can do both.
there was one year at New York Comic Con where it was Mark Hamill was there,
my
and
God.
the prices were obscene. I think it was like, even for a photo op,
Had to be in the grand.
was like was $100 easily.
Okay.
An autograph was $100. I think the photo was a couple
Photo was like
$100.
$250.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right. Man, the one that still haunts me is the fact that like Kevin Conroy was going to come to
Mm.
Columbus Comic Con, and that was the one year that I
Yeah.
skipped, and then he didn't make it to the next one. So I was
Mm.
pretty bummed about that one. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, Kevin Conroy will always be, you know,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah. No,
Batman.
he's bad. He is bad. He is Batman.
Oh.
Even in death, he is Batman. Still,
Yeah.
he will
Mhm.
always be most people's Batman.
Oh yeah,
So,
100%. Like the thing that I didn't realize until like after he was gone, I was like, oh yeah, no. Even when I'm reading comics, it's like I hear his voice. Like he's
Oh, yeah.
always going to be Batman to me.
yeah.
But we've gotten way off topic.
We're still in the realm of convention.
We're gonna talk about it. Yeah.
I will say I should preface this with like people joke that I am a professional yapper, so I will go from tangent to tangent to tangent. So you may have to just
See,
pull me back.
No,
I
no,
probably
that's-
have undiagnosed ADHD. So
Well, see, that's the thing. I've been described as a an organized train wreck, and that's pretty much what our shows are.
So this works is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So let me give you an example. What I was going to ask you earlier about cyberpunk.
yes, I love it.
Do you feel do you feel like it was do you feel like they oversold it? Like they went from this is going to be the biggest RPG game in the world, and it just kind of came out as a basic ass RPG game?
It is still very unique for what it is.
Okay.
I will give them the credit that it is very unique. It's still an RPG at the end of the day. Absolutely it is. But I will say it's not. There's what CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk, and then there's what they did with Duke Nukem Forever. I mean, like, it's apples and oranges at that point. So I'm like, did they oversell it a little bit? Yes, but it's also I think it is their job and I can't fault any studio for this.
Yeah.
You're always going to oversell your game, so I can't fault you for doing it. But what I always will say is always temper it to be like, they're going to oversell it. What you're going to get promised, more than likely you're not going to get all of it.
Yeah. Nah, that makes sense.
It's actually one of the biggest things. That's actually why I don't pre-order games. I don't pre-order games solely for that reason. To be like, I will buy it once it is out, and I hear. Not that I will say I always need everyone's reception of it to make a decision of whether I'm going to get a game or not.
Yep.
However, if I hear nothing but people saying it is a train wreck of a game, probably not going to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a very good line between I need to see for myself and, well, everybody is saying the exact same thing, so maybe it's true. And nowadays we have Twitch, we have streamers, we have other people buying it for us so they can and we can see them playing it. Yeah.
So what you're saying is we're doing a service to the people.
Yes, we're doing a service. Yeah, exactly.
You call it service, I call whiling away time when I'm not doing it and when I'm not working.
Go ahead and drop that Twitch Prime. Anyways, again, back to the organized train wreck thing. So how do you guys feel like with the fact that the convention PAX East was mostly double A's and indies and stuff? I feel like we've kind of already skimmed that surface, but how do you feel like that's changed the convention, the lack of triple A's not being there, since you guys have been going since like there was Bethesda and all that stuff?
There is definitely. I think there was a reason why PAX East doesn't fully sell out nowadays. I think there are people who are generally looking for that, and it's just not there anymore. However, if you're a fan of double A indie games, you're eating good. Like, honestly, as somebody who loves indie games, I'm eating good. I spend most of my time was spent in the indie games area. I would occasionally walk through like the bigger studio areas, but I'm like, that isn't what calls to me at the end of the day. So I think it really does depend what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think it's what are you looking for? What type of game are you looking for? And that's not to say that like if you just want shooters that there aren't like indie shooters. There are, right? And I'll talk about one that's really silly and I had a lot of fun with
Eh,
that surprised me.
Oh, I
But
was thinking of I'm thinking of a different one that neither of us got a chance to play it, but you know exactly which one I'm thinking of.
you can bring that one up. But like
Yeah.
I like I think the shift that people sort of need to make if you're going to go to like a PAX East is think about the genres that you enjoy and look for those. Don't necessarily look for the studios,
Yeah.
right? Because there's not going to be that big studio, but there might be, you know, an FPS or an RPG or whatever it is that you're sort of looking for that is a love letter to all the things that AAAs do or used to do,
Hmm.
but it's going to be more approachable because it's a small team that's working on things and, you know, it's really just someone who has a passion for the game. And that was something that was also really interesting in speaking with some of the developers, right? There were developers that were there and they were like, yeah, we used to work, you know, at Activision and we used to work here and we worked on so
BioWare.
many
There
there
were
were
a
a
few
lot of BioWare,
there were a lot
yeah.
of BioWare people there.
And one thing that
Really?
somebody
Hmm.
yeah, and they've
Yeah.
left, right?
Yeah.
They've left to do to do different things. And one thing that somebody said to me, he was like, yeah, I worked on like 3 different Call of Duties. It was fine, but it's
Yeah.
not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right? I got my experience. I made decent enough money and now I can make the games that I want for me and my family. And I was like, yeah, that's valid, right? Now that you've put in your time, you explore and experiment with the things that matter to you and the things that mean something to you. And I think sometimes you see that with like the heart and soul that certain games have
Hmm.
versus, other games that it's like, oh, this feels like a cash grab or this didn't do anything new. This feels like a reskin, whatever
Yeah.
it is that you want to say, and I will say there was one big game that surprised me with, and surprised me because I didn't know anything about them really. And I know it's a game that I will still never play. But Warframe and how big of a studio they are and how community driven they are surprised me. And that was a breath of fresh air. But I was like, but that's the outlier, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's not the rule that these big companies follow.
Yep.
So you see that with the smaller, the indies, right? And
Mhm.
I think those are the ones that should get like a light shined on them because
Yeah.
wow, like they are trying so many different fun, crazy things. And if
Mhm.
there was just someone that gave them a little bit of a shot, right? And studios have proved this, right? Like Expedition 33 has proved this. Even Baldur's Gate has proved this, right? Like
Mhm.
the right timing, the right thing, the right word of mouth or whatever it is, you can be genuinely surprised and happy with things that come out that are not your AAA studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at first when you were talking about like a lot of BioWare people, but after you said that, I'm thinking about all the times you hear stories about ex BioWare devs goes to start new company. You hear that
Mhm.
story in the news
Mhm.
all the time. So it is really cool that you guys are getting to go in there and talk to these people for real and hear about their
Yeah.
experiences. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, and then go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say it is, and it's really. I think it also just speaks to how like passionate they are about what they do, right?
Yeah.
Because I went officially under like Gamer Social Club,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas King did not. He, you
I
know,
was I was picking up the slack that Candy is like, I can't do all these in one day. If these interest you, let me know and I will connect you with the person who reached out about them.
and some of
So,
those PR people were cool with it. I was like,
yeah.
look, he's not there as official media, but like, we'll
Yeah.
check it out.
I'm still covering this. I'm still work for the same. I still work for the same site. I still write for the same site.
Yeah.
I'm still going to give you the the same coverage that she would give you.
Yeah.
But even with all that, like these were developers that were just at their booth, right? They
Mhm.
weren't waiting for their media appointment. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't waiting for someone with like a fancy badge. They were there talking to anybody and everybody that came to their booth. So it really does feel like that close connection, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, what do you guys feel like? Let's go ahead and get into the real good stuff. What was some of the best stuff you guys saw? Like, do you want to start off with that shooter you were talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, when I first saw this come across, I was like, "What is this?" And I will say at first I did not like jump into it. I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, "All right, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I have some time." So it's called Pizza Bandit,
Okay.
and
I
even the
figured this is what
title,
it was gonna be. I
yeah,
was
yeah,
pretty sure what this is what you were gonna talk about.
even the title doesn't sound like something that would necessarily be like a FPS, but it's a group FPS game. Um, and you are all you are playing as it's so strange to try to explain it. You're all playing as one person, but from different timelines, right? And you are just someone who used to be a mercenary and now you just want to open up a restaurant, but in order to do that you have to make enough money, so you take on these jobs to open this restaurant. And the scenario that we played was like working for a drug cartel, and we had to go and get the supplies, bring them back, and then also stop these like I forget exactly the term, but these time disruptors that were coming after us, because we are actually the villain in some ways because we're disrupting the flow of time to get all these ingredients and do all this money and do all this stuff.
Oh, sorry.
But it really was work together and then like get the things that you needed and sort of extraction depending on the scenario you played. But it was I didn't expect to enjoy it because I'm normally not an FPS person, and I was like, I actually am having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, I apologize because I was trying to set up the video. I've got Steam running right now showing that.
I see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. It's good. It's good. It puts it like right, like we're beneath like the view of it. I like that.
Yeah, no, this looks awesome. Looks right up my alley. Like the gameplay kind of looks a little reminiscent to Remnant. Kind of, but honestly, the more I'm looking at the gameplay, I don't know what it reminds me of. But yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. And it looks like the demo is out right now. And
Yeah.
okay, cool. So you can go to Steam right now and download the demo. Do you know if it's coming to other platforms or is it just Steam right now?
So right now it's just Steam because that's also where they're doing a lot of testing for it.
Okay. Okay.
But there were, I will say the one thing with I feel like a lot of PAX this year also was that a lot of things were going to Steam, but with the potential
Yeah.
to be on other places. That was
Yeah.
like the big thing that we kept hearing. It seems
Yeah.
like Steam is just a little bit more accessible.
It's
for people to get
it's
things.
approachable, and I think the biggest issue too. I think even like Nintendo does carry a lot of indie games. I've heard the price to get yourself on the Nintendo marketplace is very high. Which
Okay.
doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, but they were still in some testing for different play tests, and really trying to figure out the best way to do the online play. There were some people that were like, "Oh, well, is there going to be like a solo play?" And they were like, "Well, that's not really the point of the game."
Yeah.
Right? So that was like, so I think there's still a lot of work that they are doing on it, which is why they don't even have a year date on it just yet.
Okay.
But it was just, it was a lot of fun. And again, not normally my type of game.
Yeah.
But I wanted to push myself and try different things.
Yeah.
Very glad that I did.
I respect that. I respect that. Okay, cool. Were there any other ones?
Oh my god, I mean,
100?
there were so many good ones. I already wrote all about Monster Train, so go check that out on the website. That I got to play there. It's amazing. It was amazing there. It's amazing here and at home. So go play it. Upcoming Section 13, I had a lot of fun with. It's a roguelike shooter, which I know there's some other people that are interested in it. There is like a beta game that's out, but this was one that they took a lot of what the community said and retooled and reworked, and now like are releasing it as a new game. So it's like you can buy the original version, but it's getting like a full re-release.
Okay, so what I'm looking at on Steam right now isn't what you're referring to then.
So it is. So that's the strange thing. It is.
Okay.
Right? So it is, but when they do the re-release, which is later this, I think it's later this week, the game is going to be basically brand new.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
So some of the gameplay elements are still there, but it will be a totally reconfigured piece. Like they changed the name, they changed the story, there's co-op in it, right? So they really went back hearing what people said and changed it, which I thought was, again, really cool, and probably not something that you might have gotten, from other places.
Yeah.
There was a game called Cat Secretary that was very cute, not just because I own a cat.
Oh boy, I know a couple people who might like this.
Yeah,
Okay.
super cute. There was a running theme at PAX, and it wasn't purposeful, but it was very much like AI is either the worst, or we love AI and we're making it like part of our gameplay. And this was one of the games where AI is the villain and the cat is here to save the day.
Okay.
Very cute, very silly.
And
There were also a lot of side-scroller beat-em-ups.
Yeah, there were.
That's making a comeback.
really, I wonder if Shredder's Revenge kind of brought that on, kind of showed people that
I
hey,
think it might have. I think it might have. I said with the slightly still keeping it pixelated, but the modern. You have a modern engine, so it can still be pixelated graphics, but it doesn't. It can look really good as a pixelated graphic beat 'em up side scroller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, one thing that I really loved with Rah Rah Boom, which was a side scroller, because I'm getting old, they had lanes built into all of the, all of the work, or all of the levels. So like Rah Rah Boom is just RARA. Yeah, when you look at it, it's like, oh, there's 5 lanes, and your character snaps into the lane, basically. So you don't have to question, where am I fighting? And I was like, yes, when I was, 5, it was easy enough for me to stick with where it was and follow the shadow, and it's fast-paced, and it's all this. When I turned 35, my eyes didn't work so quick. So the lanes, super helpful.
that's awesome. Yeah. See, I get what you're saying, because what's that game that just came to Game Pass? Towerborn. Yeah, I tried that out, and that was the thing. I immediately knew it wasn't for me, because first of all, it felt like more like a cozy type game, or more in that realm, and it was very much X and Y are your 2 attacks, like those. That's it. Maybe it gets more intricate, I don't know, but I was having that same issue of, I don't feel like where I want to attack is where I'm hitting, and then I'm spending most of my time going up down just to figure out if X is the right place. I didn't like it. Yep. Wasn't for me.
This was such a huge improvement. I was like, I love this. Thank you.
I'm definitely adding this to my wish list. Now, real quick, before we keep going down the rabbit hole of side-scroller beat-em-ups, what exactly was the goal of this game? Like, what is it exactly? Like the cat secretary, that is. Yeah. I remember you telling me the goal, but I don't remember, when I'm looking at it, I'm not really seeing much of a description of exactly what it is I'm doing in it.
Yeah, so you are doing, during the day when an office would be open, you are doing very simple tasks, right? You are making coffee, you are checking emails, maybe you are playing Minecraft because you don't want to work, in those moments. And you can only do, I think it was 3 tasks throughout the day.
Okay.
And then at night, you are trying to sneak around the building to find out what is actually happening in this office. So people are upset that a cat was hired as a secretary, because they're like, great, first it was the computers taking our jobs, now it's a cat. It turns out that as you go through the story, you find out that people are being replaced with AI, and as this cat, you are sneaking around trying to figure out why this AI is basically replacing the people. So another sort of telltale, AI is bad, except that your hero is not John Connor. It is this cute little cat who shows up.
That's amazing. Okay, that's cool. I'm sold. This looks awesome. I bet you Fraser would
It
like
was
this
very
one.
cute. It's cozy-ish, right? Like it's
Yeah, yeah,
relaxed-ish until you realize what the content of it is.
yeah. Okay, all right, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it seems very unique, and it does
Yeah.
seem like you're going to be doing a miscellaneous amount of different things.
Exactly.
um,
Exactly.
but yeah, let's get into some more side scroller beat 'em ups because I'm definitely a part of the crowd that played Shredder's Revenge, and I was like, "Ooh, side scroller beat 'em ups, let's go!"
Mhm. Yeah, so this one, so Rah Rah Boom, very fun. Again, like the lane thing was huge. Um, question, I'm gonna go more into it, but question, have you ever been to Kings Island in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so the reason I asked that is the creator of this game is from that area.
Okay,
Um, and part of what he did was the characters are all based on people that he knows. And he actually even has a whole level that is based around, like based on loosely, obviously, King's Island, where the final boss is actually like the wooden roller coaster that's out there.
that is so sick. I love that. Yeah, no, I'm like an hour drive from that place, so that is really
Okay.
cool. Yeah, I know. I've definitely been there. That's awesome.
So yeah, so um, this one was a lot of fun. It plays up to 4 people. Um, it was the way the demo was set up. It didn't tell you everything about like the beginning of it. It was really more focused on the gameplay, right? So we basically jumped in. We are at this theme park. These girls, based on the small snippets of conversation that we got during the demo, it seems like they have been sent back to Earth to save the Earth,
Okay.
right? So playing the demo, we don't fully know like why, or playing the demo at PAX, I should say, we don't fully know why Earth is in the shape that it is, right? But they are now the next sort of like saving grace,
Okay.
which was. And each character play a little different. So one of them was kind of like a ninja. One of them was a bit of a boxer. Um, you know, but again, the lane thing really, I was like, this is amazing, and I'm so happy. And it did require you a little bit to play in tandem with whoever you're playing with, right? And you could play it alone, like most of these other side-scrolling games. I think it would be extremely difficult alone, but you could do it.
Now, is this game coming to more than just Steam? Do you know?
So this one is supposed to. I'll pull it up because I have I have so many
And
information.
I can see where while you're looking that up, I can see why it's going to be such a benefit. Watching the gameplay here,
Mhm.
it's like if you're running a ranged character, you're going to be able to be a
Mhm.
lot more accurate. And yeah, when it
Mhm.
comes to playing with friends, yeah, because on this trailer it just says wishlist now. It doesn't even say what consoles. But yeah, no, and then
Yeah.
especially yeah, when you're playing with friends, you know who's got what lane, and if you're getting in this person's way. So that is super cool. That's definitely a huge
Yeah.
benefit.
It is scheduled for August as of right now. When insider info, if you're watching this, you just found out that it's scheduled to come out
Oh,
August.
ho, ho.
Which I have in writing, and it is scheduled for or set to be released on PC and Xbox, which I feel
Hey.
like so many things do not include
Yeah.
Xbox, but this one did.
Yep, yep. That's actually super awesome. I know, which kind of, again, organized train wreck, kind of like makes me think about how Sean was talking about uh, Nintendo getting like it's like outrageously expensive to put their games on there.
Mhm.
It seems like
Mhm.
Xbox is taking that
Xbox is
spot.
cheap. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, they are.
yep. It seems like that's just the place to go if you're an indie developer nowadays.
And I don't think it's also too. I've from what little I have heard as well, it's also not a big leap. Whereas I do think if
Okay.
putting your game on the Switch platform, I get
Mhm.
the sense does require more technical tweaking with the game itself to make it compatible with like all the operating like software
Mm-hmm.
for the Switch.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking out of my ass. But like, I have gotten that sense that it's, and I think at the end of the day, as we've said, it is more approachable to get on Steam. And I think Microsoft, as you said, is kind of filling that niche of like, if you don't want to go to Steam, and also not for nothing, I think the beauty about what Xbox has is the Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, you get access to all these games. So you very well might decide to be like, hey, I really enjoy this game, I'll end up buying it, kind of thing. Whereas like even with the Switch, I'm like, you can't do that. There's no try out a game. There's no demo. I mean, there's very few demos on the Switch. Let me rephrase it. There are some. There's not a lot of them. So,
And I mean, I know not many people get into the like Xbox cloud streaming, but you know, if that becomes more readily available in the future, I think that's going to become another huge perk of games like this. You know, you buy it once on Xbox, you're able to access it from your phone, and you basically got a handheld wherever you go playing those same games. So yeah, that I could see that being even greater success for that, but that's a totally different discussion. But yeah, so what no, never mind. Okay, sorry, getting back on track. What other games did you guys see?
Good. I have one more couch co-ops / side scroller.
I love couch
That was
co-ops.
a lot of fun. It's called Heroes of Mount, spelled out Dragon. This one was really interesting because this was actually the people who said like I was tired of working on Call of Duty games.
Okay.
which is
It was
such a
like-
jump for them based on what it looked like. I'm like, wow, you used to work on COD and now you work on again. I love it. But-
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was really interesting with this was, so this universe, I'm gonna call it, actually is a universe that they're taking that is a pre-established board game that's like out in Canada for like a French-speaking audience, and then they started creating books based on some of the characters that are aimed at like younger kids. But then because the gentlemen who were working on it, right, they're like, yeah, I wanted to like create things that I could play with my kids because now I'm at the age where my kids have an interest in gaming and I want to be able to play things with them, but I don't necessarily want to play like a Call of Duty or whatever else. So this was sort of like came about at this time, and they're friends with the person who created this whole universe. So now they're expanding the universe that this exists in, which I thought was really cool.
That is super
so you
awesome.
see a little bit of fantasy, and you see fantasy elements in it, like the fact that they can turn into dragons and attack from above and fly, and that's pretty cool. It'll have like 8 unlockable characters. It'll be out on Steam first, then it's supposed to come out on the Switch in the fall.
Okay.
Which I feel like also to some extent makes sense with like, again, because I think of Nintendo consoles a little bit more aimed at kids, although who knows with the Switch 2 and the games that they're going to be able to play. So it feels like
Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Switch. I mean, it's
like games.
Clearly.
coming, so
Yeah, allegedly you will be able to play those games very well on the Switch too. I don't know. So I see the appeal of putting it on the Switch and on PC. But this was a lot of fun. The team that worked on it was like wonderful to speak to. But they were like, yeah, this feels like where I need to be in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so vulnerable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, some of the best conversations I've had was with like at Comic-Con, was at the vending booths where the gaming developers were. Like they typically are very down to earth people and very vulnerable as to like they got. Like, it reminded me of everybody on our team here at GSC, how, like, we're all very passionate about what we're doing, you know what I mean? And that is really cool because I, as a dad of 2, it is that thing when, or even, hell, I've got 10 brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws. So whenever they're coming over and hanging out, it's always hard to find something to do for everybody, because not everybody's into board games. So it is always that thing of, okay, well, what can we all sit down and play? And usually it's always Jackbox Party, That's pretty much what it
Mhm.
is all the time. But you know, when I got Shredder's Revenge, it was like that was a big one, like that we played for a while. So yeah, these kinds of games right here is definitely, and it is kid friendly too. You know that
Mhm.
it's a big deal, especially the older you get, the more it's like, oh, you know, I can't play Mortal Kombat in front of my 2-year-old child.
What those fatalities in those two months? I
I
refuse to
guess
believe
I don't know.
that.
I don't understand it, but so yeah, I think that's amazing. This game looks really cool. This is definitely something that I would not want on Steam. I would want this on my Nintendo, or I would want this on Xbox.
Yeah, it was very cool. I was very like I played it for I think like 20-25 minutes because we did a few runs and the other thing that they put into this is like a friendly competition mode too. So you can play through the story or you can do the friendly competition where it's like
Okay.
you and whoever you're playing with are just trying to get like the most kills or the most points. You can also pick up items along the way that make it easier or harder and I was like this is really cool that they really thought about a sort of freer play mode where you're not gonna die because you're just competing against whoever you're playing with. Um, and it was funny because they even said we're trying to find another name besides like challenge or competition because while it is
Yeah.
a competition, we don't want it to sound so like stressful, right? We
Mhm.
still want people to have fun while they're playing that mode. So the fact they were in thinking about those little details, I was like, that's really thoughtful as you're going through
Absolutely.
it and trying to find the best way.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah,
And
I'll let you talk about a few things that he liked.
Yeah, my games are very different.
oh yeah.
We have very different gaming. Some things we overlap on. We have very different gaming
Hmm.
tastes.
Okay.
So and I actually did write up a top 5 on Gamer Social Club on like some of the top 5 things that I tried out. It
Yes.
wasn't all of them just because I could have written pages and pages and pages of everything that I tried out. One of the probably favorite things that I tried was a little platformer called As I Began to Dream. It is it is based out of I have to double check. I want to say it's based out of Indonesia actually. So one
Oh,
of the
okay.
areas that I actually did a lot of like reviews of demos with was with Soft Source Publishing, which is a Singaporean based publishing company, but a lot of the publishing they do is for game devs in Indonesia actually. So as I begin to dream, you are a little girl and you have been separated from your parents and you are now navigating your dreamscape to find them. So
Okay.
it is a platformer meets like a kind of manipulation of the actual environment itself to pass through to the next area of the stage essentially. I really enjoyed it. I also, let's be totally honest, as a person who loves indie games, I love having my heart crushed because if it's emotional, give it to me
Yeah.
because I'm gonna have my heart broken in the process of playing this.
Yeah.
And I am also like I am a sucker for this kind of art style as well, like the very
It's
like
beautiful.
yeah, that's literally the kind of games I really like. And so yeah, it was just great. And like you basically you manipulate as you saw in the trailer, you manipulate the environment. You basically you can't there are enemies, you can't attack any of them. You have to manipulate the environment so the enemies get rid of themselves.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that thing you can't actually attack anything. That's the biggest challenge I've noticed when I was doing the demo was like you can't attack anything, so you have to manipulate the environment in such a way that it gets rid of the enemies so you can pass through safely.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean you're just a scared little girl. Like you, yeah,
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
kind of unimmerse you if you whipped out like
Yeah.
a giant two-handed
It's like
axe and started.
yeah, exactly. I pulled out I pulled out my in the vein of I know Dark Ages just came out. I pulled out the BFG. It's like that doesn't work. The little girl's not running around with the BFG. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and
Love it.
I will say I think everything I looked at that like I'll probably talk about. it's all PC releases. So
Okay,
like,
okay.
as of right now, and I'm gonna say for some of them, I wouldn't say that I don't think any of those devs are not ruling out doing it on other platforms in the future. I think for some of them, they're still in the early stages of like, not even early stages, but like we have demos on Steam, and
Yeah.
when the release is gonna be, we'll see, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's like the toughest thing, but that's also why I like talking to these people, is that like these indie developers is like, you see the process from the ground up of like, this is where I'm at with this game. It's not done.
Oh yeah.
And kind of hopefully seeing it come to fruition. So
Yeah.
So I know this is a tiny bit off topic, but did you play Neva?
I played Greece. I have not played Neva yet.
Okay, okay, that was a really good
No,
one.
it's devastating and beautiful, I've heard.
Yes, yes. I wasn't expecting that to hit me as emotionally as it did, but it did.
I played all of Greece in one sitting on a Twitch stream. I was not expecting like, oh, this is really rough emotionally.
Oh man. Okay.
through no dialogue, and like there is there's not dialogue, but there is like it's text bubbles essentially. So there is actual dialogue in this game, but it's not, there's no VA work to it.
Okay.
So
Okay. Cool.
but that was as I began to dream.
This is definitely a game I will check out because, like I said, I did really enjoy Neva. So, and the art style is really gorgeous in this game.
That's what I really liked. It's like this it's simple, but it's done in such a good way that I'm okay with it being kind of simple to a certain extent because of how they did it.
Yeah.
In the vein of kind of some of the soft source publishing was another one. This was from Barangan Creative. It's called Kajora. The wildest thing about this game, they told me it was going to be a shooter game at first. When the PR person said, "Oh, it's Kejora."
Kejora. Is that it right there? This doesn't look like a shooter.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. Like the PR person from SoftSource, like, yeah, the devs initially thought of this as being a shooter. I'm like, how?
It's like 3 little kids in a jungle.
So
You mean you don't shoot from slingshots?
I know, right? So Kajora, I literally kind of pitched this it's basically a point-and-click puzzle game, kind of a platformer, but the art style really reminded me of like Studio Ghibli style of artwork. It's like the very thin line, like kind of just pretty colors. So the whole thing is that it's the same day over and over again in this game. But you're remembering that it's the same day over and over again. And there's basically some spooky, ooky business going on in the woods near your village. And you kind of have to figure out what's going on, essentially. So it's actually really cool. And you manipulate the environment with like, point and click kind of style, but you have your 2 friends with you, and they have unique abilities that let you do certain things. Like one of your friends is really good at throwing rocks at things because he wants to be a baseball player. So he can throw rocks to ward things off, to knock something down. And another person is really, really strong and can give you a boost up to a higher ledge that you wouldn't be able to reach on your own. So
Okay.
that's some of the stuff that was going on in Kajora, and was real. I really, and the demo was very short, I will say. I think the demo was...
there's a demo here.
The demo, I want to say, was maybe 15 minutes. It was short. But what I did see, I really, really liked, and I'm hoping to see more of this game. I'm hoping that more news comes out about it in the future, because this has got me written all over it.
Yeah, I was immediately thinking of the people I would want to share this with, because it does look like a Studio Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah, that was one of them. I think, was there anything else from SoftSource before I move on to other areas of the world?
Hold on,
because I actually will say, weirdly, I think every game I put, like, I'm going to talk about my top 5. All of them were not based in the United States.
Oh, really?
They were either
Okay.
Poland or Southeast Asia. So and one was in Italy. But
Oh, okay,
um,
okay.
yeah, one of the other ones I looked at, it does not have a demo on Steam. It is based in Poland. It's called Gloomy Eyes. Apparently, I did not realize this. It is a spin-off from a VR game that came out to the Oculus a few years ago. So I think the Gloomy Eyes VR version is on Steam. The demo itself is not on there for the game that I played. Oh, that actually, yeah, you can wishlist it now, but there's no demo available.
Okay, okay.
But Gloomy Eyes, it is a platformer, but did you do you have a Switch?
I used to.
Okay, did you get a chance before when you had it? Did you ever get a chance to play Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury?
No, I didn't actually. No.
Okay, so some of the levels they had in there were these Toad levels, where it was basically a platformer, but the map spun in a circle as you were ascending the level.
Okay.
That is what Gloomy Eyes does. It is essentially a kind of a height-based level, but you can spin the whole camera around it to see where you're going, because basically you have to get certain things to get through certain areas on the map. But I really, really liked it because first and
Okay.
foremost, I mean, like, I love Nightmare Before Christmas, so I saw this. I'm like, this reminds me of a Nightmare Before Christmas game.
Yep.
And basically, there's two characters. There's Gloomy, who is he's a zombie, and his whole thing is that he cannot be in light. If he gets in light, well,
Well,
he dies
he
again.
becomes extra dead.
He dies again. And then there is Nena, who is a human girl who's raised by a vampire. So it's basically it, and the demo only briefly, you played them separate. You played each level separately. Like, you played as Gloomy, then you played as Nena, and you never get to see the two of them interact. But it's basically the two of them getting on some kind of adventure, because even that was kind of vague. But I think it was just to showcase what the game was going to be, and I'm looking forward to it just simply for the art style more than anything else.
Yeah, it's funny because you said Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm more of a Corpse Bride guy. So I was thinking of Corpse Bride, but yeah, no, this looks amazing. And listen, Harry, aka Novice Crayfish, if you're listening to this, I want you to, hop on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, I want you to watch along as all of these things Sean is listing off sound right up your alley, especially this one.
I think Navish even said when I wrote up the article, he's like, I'm gonna probably check out all of these.
Yeah.
'Cause I've gotten the sense Navish and I have very similar tastes in games.
Yeah.
So...
No, you guys definitely do. I've gotten that taste, and you've only told me about 3 games you're really excited for.
Yeah.
This game does look awesome.
Gloomy Eyes does have it's slated 2025 release, according to what's on Steam. And according to the individual I spoke to from so they're unique in that it's a couple of developers and a couple of publishers that are working on this. So it's Atlas V, 3DAR, Fish and Cactus, and B Revolution are working on this as the developer side of things. But then publishers, there's Art France and Untold Tales. I spoke with somebody from Untold Tales, who I believe is the this was games from Poland area essentially that I was looking at this game with. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't play VR games because I get violently sick when I play them.
Oh, okay.
So I would have been curious to play it, but I can't play them. So, and we don't have a VR device in the house. But
due to the vomit.
I was doing the read above it, like they didn't lead with that. Like, by the way, this is based off of a VR game. I'm like, really?
I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna look up the VR version, because what would that even look like? Considering that the aspect for this game is all about like being able to look around.
Yes, I think it's right up on the top. I think it was only Gloomy's perspective. That's the sense I got from what little I looked at it. It seemed like it was only Gloomy's perspective.
Whoops. Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, audio listeners, we're looking at a trailer right now, and it does look like it's a little more first person, rather than, you've got that... Dude, what the heck? Colin Farrell. What the hell?
saw Colin Farrell in the trailer. I'm like, wait, Colin Farrell was in
That's wild.
because there is VA work in this game, and it's actually very well done.
Okay.
Actually, like any games I ran into, the VA work was very good in it. As
Yeah.
somebody who would love to eventually breach into that world,
Yeah.
it was amazingly done. So
I'm sold on this. This looks awesome.
yeah. I'm looking forward to it, and the fact that there is a tentative 2025 release gives me hope that this is something I'll be able to see before the end of the year.
Yeah. Yep. It says planned 2025, and you said this one's only coming to Steam, correct?
Yes, this is only as of right now only coming to Steam.
Okay. I mean, hey, for all you console players listening and watching, I'm sure this game isn't super demanding. So even if you've got a laptop, I would say it would be able to run this game.
Oh, this could 100% run on a laptop. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got two more that I'll talk about.
Okay. And while you're looking up the next one, something I'm going to mention, since the stream broke down and I had to restart it, the original video and the original stream, and then of course the one that I'm going to edit together after all of this, there is in the description Sean's article that he wrote for the website. So if you do want to actually read the physical form, or you forget all the ones he talked about on the podcast here, you can refer back to that article.
You can pester me on social media too.
Yeah.
I answer most messages. So, the next one I looked at was Warlight No Time to Trip. It is a point-and-click adventure. It's a point-and-click adventure game. It's called Warlight. So like something like WHIR light, and I think that might just be enough to get you. There you go. Warlight No Time to Trip. It is a point-and-click adventure game, but it is done with modern graphics, like modern. I literally, that's the first thing I noted. So the PR person that was there, I'm like, this is beautiful. And I think of like the old point and click adventure games that I've played that looked like ass, pardon my language. Like this is really, and that was like literally what we talked about for a few minutes. Like, yeah, like the whole beautiful thing now is that because modern video game graphics are so much more approachable now to developers, why can't we do a point and click adventure game with modernized graphics? So Warlight No Time to Trip, you are you're Hector. You're an inventor from Verice Bay, which I think is loosely supposed to be a made-up place in Italy because the whole development company is based out of Italy. You are an inventor, and you are going through. There's also a theme with a lot of my games that it's a lot of dream state sequences because you're in your dreams, getting your ideas and not really remembering when you wake up what was the point of what I thought of in my dreams as an invention goes.
Okay.
But the whole thing that I didn't even get to in the demo, there is a time travel component in this because if you noticed, even on the main picture, there's somebody else in that picture. You are transported to the future in this game. And because I believe believe Hector is supposed to be in Italy in like, I think the 1970s or 80s, I think, and you get transported to the future, I think sometime in the 2000s. I don't know when, but the whole point is that it's a point and click adventure game, modernized graphics, the VA work is great, and it is done really well. I guess they've had other projects before, and they do it in a lot of language. I think it's in English, Italian, French, Spanish, and I think they said they're slated to do at least 2 or 3 more language translations of this game as well, which I really, really like.
That's awesome.
I like point and click puzzle games. It's
Yeah.
I think I say I turn my brain off for them, even though you don't turn your brain off for a point and click puzzle game, but it's enough turning my brain off for a game that I kind of like, and I really enjoyed it, honestly.
See, personally, you lost me at point and click.
I know point and click is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah,
it is my cup of tea.
That's perfectly
It's
fine.
one of the few places we agree.
Yeah, because you also like point and click puzzle games too.
Hey, and there you can download the demo right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and the demo is. I want to say the demo is easily half hour to an hour, depending on how quickly you blast through it.
Okay.
Because I was demoing it, I was clicking on everything I could click on because the nice thing is too is that this is something that I will kind of, it makes it a little bit easier, but one of the things you can do is you can kind of highlight what can you actually interact with, what can you not interact with, because I think that's something that they kind of acknowledge, that like older point and click puzzle games, you weren't always sure where you were supposed to be pointing and clicking sometimes because it wasn't very clear like what is interactable in the game, what's not. Whereas this is like, it very clearly, like it kind of will highlight, here's what you can actually interact with, just for your own sanity more than anything else.
Yeah. Like, it's not meant to be that kind of game where, you know, you're trying to torture your brain.
Exactly. Like, I like point-and-click puzzle games, but it also, to a certain extent, is also because they've made them, because of the, like, you know, modernization of gaming, you have such a bigger capacity, even in, like, the level I would, like, the demo, it's multiple stage areas that you can interact with the different objects you're collecting in those areas. So it's not like it's like a one room, then you go to a next room. No, you can traverse like 5 or 6 different areas in the same sequence.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So it's easy to get lost.
Yeah.
So that one I like. That is for Steam. That is also a 2025 release according to the PR rep I spoke with.
The plot sounds awesome though. I love that.
Yeah, it's silly, and they do. It is very much it's a comedy one. I think the where I stopped playing the demo, he woke up and was using an invention. He had to squash a cockroach in his kitchen. So again, shows the value he puts into his inventions, but it's fine.
That's awesome.
And the last one I will talk about, it is called Hank Drowning on Dry Land.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is actually inspired by Batman, actually.
You said Hank driving on dry land.
Drowning on dry land.
Okay. As soon as I typed in Hank, okay. Well, yeah, I can see the influence there.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. Here's the thing, though. It's more of a it's more of a Thomas Wayne kind of vibe, because here's the fun thing: Hank's a drunk.
Okay.
So the whole thing with Hank drowning on dry land, you are essentially you're Hank, you're a superhero, and you are basically kind of a drunk. So the whole thing is, it is you going through your own mind. Here's the fun thing: you're kind of reliving some of your memories as Hank, as in your encounters with other villains. There's 2 cool things. One, you can create multiple versions of yourself in the timeline that you're currently in. But here's the fun thing: if you run into one of yourselves, you create a paradox, and the game ends.
Okay.
But here's the other fun thing: you can rewind time as long as you want. There is no limit to how far backwards you can rewind the game.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. This game sounds sick. I mean, you had me at Batman, but
Literally, this is another one that's based out of Poland. This is actually the story I told earlier of a guy's like, this is the game I work on to fund this game, and this is the game he's working on. He even said, he's like, the capacity to find something to build the engine that allows me to basically pull the game back as far as the player wants to, and not screw up all the coding in it.
That sounds pretty intense.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's kind of it's not really fully a platformer. It's kind of like a find your path to do what you need to do, but also not running into yourself, because that's the whole thing that I was having a difficulty with, is remembering where other versions of myself are on the map at certain times.
Yeah.
And then, as you see in the trailer, there's kind of like a sequence where you're on like a roller coaster. So it's almost like a quick time event in a showdown with the villain. So you're kind of like riding this roller coaster through your mind, essentially. So it's kind of a quick time event, but you can also manipulate time in this sequence as well. So you can give yourself a boost forward in time, or you can rewind time.
Okay. So, what exactly is up with? Because we're watching the video here, and something that they're talking about is like scanning episodes and taking clips. Did you see that?
I
What's
didn't see that.
what is that about? Like, are you like happen to play detective or something?
I think you are to us because I think the demo itself, it's literally the quintessential Batman. There's a bomb and you have to find the 3 buttons to turn it off to stop the bomb from going.
Okay,
But,
okay.
yeah. So they get literally that's like that shot that you're on there with like the timer, like that's like a bomb that but you also have decisions of like, do you turn off the bomb or do you talk to the villain and find out what's going on with the villain? So it's also kind of a decision of like, what are you going to do if you solve the puzzles? Like, well, do you actually solve it or do you take a different route that is not expected?
Okay. And by doing that, you can basically be like, "Oh, I don't like that outcome. Rewind, go again,"
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
could create a
exactly.
paradox where you've got
Mhm.
multiple versions. Okay,
The
all
number
right.
of times I ran into myself, it was problematic.
Oh, and you can download the demo on
The
Steam right
demo
now.
is also available on Steam.
Let's go.
Yeah, that is I really I enjoy this. I think I finished the full demo. I'm pretty sure that I did. But I look forward to what this is going to be. It really, if you're a comic book fan, this is Detective
Mhm.
Comics written all over. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
yeah.
it's very much more
100%.
Mhm.
the Detective Comics Batman, not the Batman Beyond or like, the more modern iterations
Yep,
of Batman.
yep.
So,
I'm sold. This looks
yeah,
really sick,
that's some of the stuff I checked
and
out at
it
PAX East.
and it's fitting that we were talking about Kevin Conroy's Batman because now there's all
It
this.
really
Mhm.
was.
Yeah, that's great.
And what can you
That's
do
what he.
better?
That's what he did say. I'm really inspired by comic books.
Oh man, yeah.
So
There's a lot of for audio listeners. There's a lot of footage of the animated Batman series going on in this
mhm,
live stream trailer.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's see. We're going at about probably about an hour 30, hour 40 minutes. We usually try to wrap up after an hour and a half or
Mm,
2 hours. So
yeah.
you guys still got some more stuff you wanted to cover as far as like what are some of the worst things you say? How is AI in the gaming space on display at the con? So what? And then what is the GSC at? GSC page from PAX East. So like you guys just cover what you want to cover. We'll kind of close
Mm,
out with whatever we go with
yeah.
next.
I mean, as far as worst goes, there's nothing I really encountered that was like bad. It just maybe wasn't necessarily for me. And I think that's
Yeah.
always the thing I will
Mhm.
kind of put the context to a game. I'm like, it wasn't like I was running across like this demo's ass. Like it's
Yeah.
just like no, this game just isn't for me.
Yep.
I think of one there was it was a turn-based combat game, but it was a rhythm-based turn-based combat
Hmm.
game. I have no sense of rhythm, so trying to do it on a keyboard and mouse when I know there's lag going on,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
That's
this
too
is
much.
I really appreciate what they're doing. It is not for me right now, but I like what they're doing. So I can't really say there was anything like as like a bad that I saw there. Candy, I don't know about you.
Oh, I have two.
Okay.
And they were bad because of the AI. That's what I'll
Mm,
say. So
Okay, so that's going to
one
kind of
of
prompt the
them,
other conversation. Gotcha.
yeah.
yeah, so two and one. So one of them was sort of supposed to be like a Pokemon-esque type game, right? Where you would capture things and they would evolve, but they would evolve based on prompts that you put into this AI generator, and then it would use AI to create what that monster looks like next, right? Once he gave me the sort of spiel, I was like, oh, okay, like thanks for letting me know, and I left. I didn't even bother trying the game, right? Because I was like, the again, as someone who doesn't play Pokemon and has lots of thoughts, right? I'm like, they are still generating different creatures and all that with like artists and stuff behind that, right? And I think especially if you're an indie game developer, I understand that budgets and constraints and all that stuff is very real.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if you are so reliant on AI to make the thing, how much of this is you and the team behind you versus how much of this just becomes a program that runs, right? So I was like, that, I'm here because I want to see like the independent studios that are doing a lot of really great work and experimental things. And I think there's a time and place for AI. I don't want it in my gaming that way, right? That is like where I draw a line. You know, and then the second thing that was also AI, and I'm going to say this even as someone who does stream.
Is this what I think it is?
It's the streamer bait game.
Yeah.
It's called like AI to you, and they try to pitch it as like, well, it's a locked room mystery, and you need to figure out how to get out of these rooms, right? But you have this girlfriend, this AI girlfriend, who is in love with you and won't let you leave. So you can ask them questions, and you can follow the prompts, and you can do whatever to then like get out of the scenario. So like one was in space, one was in an apartment, whatever. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me give this a shot, right? Very clearly people have streamed it, played it on Twitch, you know, or TikTok or whatever, and had clips that look funny. But the AI was so broken, right? I'm like, I am asking you where something is and you can't answer me, right? So it wasn't even good AI.
Yeah,
right? And
that's pretty rough.
And the whole thing was supposed to be like, oh, you can talk to it or you can type the things in. So I'm like, okay, I'm typing the things in, and you still cannot figure out how to get me to a place that I can take the next steps in this thing, right? Oof. So I was like, if you're like, you know, and the only reason I sat and played it, because I walked by it a few times and I did not try it. The only reason I sat and played it was because another one of our friends who was there was like, check this out.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like,
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't do it. I was like, I sat there for a few minutes and I was like, yeah, okay, no, the art, and I don't even know if the art was generated by a person. I'm like, the art looks cute, right? But it is just, I was like, this is not doing, and this is a great example of everything that is wrong with making your game rely on AI.
Absolutely.
I think there is. Can AI provide some assistance? Yes. Shouldn't be the focal point of your game. I think there was. I can't even remember what game it was, but they were leading with like a. Oh, like their leading line was about AI. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm gonna keep walking. I can't even remember what game it was, but they led like with that. I'm like, that is. I think I said to Kane, I'm like, that's not the selling point you think it is.
No.
I don't know. I don't think it is.
Well, and you know, that's the thing about what you were talking about earlier, not believing in bad games, but then there's also this.
Yeah, exactly.
Where the whole synopsis of it is built on not solid ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, oh, we're Steam's top-rated AI power game. I'm like, that is how you're selling yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I kind of wish I remember what this game was.
It's not a high bar to set for yourself at all.
No. So yeah, I mean, I think that was like the worst of it. You know what? One thing I will say that is not the worst of it, but the best of it. I got to give also kudos to the people that were running these booths, because I can't tell you how many times I also saw them like wipe down all the controllers, wipe down the keyboards, right? Because anybody who's been to a con knows you go to a con, you get con crud, right? Yeah. We did not get con crud.
Really? Hey, that's awesome.
Crazily enough, I didn't. And this is actually routinely the past few years we have masked at any convention we go to, because we were going to be talking so much. I'm like, I can't be talking into a mask the whole day. I just can't.
Yeah, that'd be too much.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was so amazed by that. I was like, wow. Yeah. So if this ever gets to anybody that was like at PAX East, kudos to you for keeping everything so nice and clean. The other thing that was fun that is not necessarily related to all this other stuff, there were a lot of voice actors there, right? And I talked a little bit about this just within the Discord. A lot of voice actors walking around, just kind of hanging out and chilling. And Ben Starr was one of them. And like, I could not pick him up in a lineup until PAX East, so I won't even lie. But he was genuinely like very nice to talk to, because he was at the Warframe panel, and then we ran into, like, we saw him on the floor. He was buying dice for himself, right? And I was like, that's really cool. And I spoke to him for a few minutes, very nice, very down to earth. And then when I was looking at some other games, they were like, yeah, I said, oh, there's voice acting in this game, Sky of Tides. I was like, the voice acting's great. And they were like, oh yeah, that guy Damien Haas, he's a voice actor. And I was like, yeah, he was like on Smosh and he did all this other stuff. And
Yeah.
he did an
Yep.
anime that I
Yep.
like.
Yep. I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, he's he's done all this stuff. And she goes, yeah, he's the voice of this robot. He just like walked over to the booth the other day just to like come say hi and see how we're doing. So
Oh, dude.
again, that like community sort of aspect isn't just the developers and like the players. It also extends to, and I'm not going to say all the voice actors, right? But it extends to some of the voice actors. I think those who are like that mid-range, you're not going to get Matt Mercer walking around on his own, right? But
Or
some of
Andy
these
Circus.
Yeah, right.
No.
They're walking around on their own. But some of these other ones are also truly just there for like the love of gaming.
Yeah.
Which is
I know
best.
I know ProZD was there. I don't recall seeing him walking around the floor.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure he was there.
He was there. Yeah. He was one of the big like voice actors that they had announced.
Yeah, because he was there. Damien Haas was there. Ben Starr was there. I think there's one person I'm missing that was like a bigger
One or two
VA.
Baldur's Gate people were there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The one that does the voices, Karlak, I think was there.
Oh, cool.
Samantha, I can't remember her last name now.
He was just walking around because I think she has a dog. I think she has a dog and like a support animal. And I believe it was the dog that was running around with a little lightsaber in its mouth the whole time.
Dude, that's sick.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
so that's another bright spot.
extremely jealous you got to meet Ben Starr. I would have loved to meet that guy. I don't know if you guys listen to Kind of Funny, but he's on there all the time as a guest, talking about games and stuff. He's a very down to earth person, you can tell.
He was super chill. He was buying the dice, and some other people were like trying to take a picture. And this one girl, she was very short, and she was with her partner or whatever, who was very tall. So they're trying to take this selfie, and I was like, "Do you want me to take the picture for you?" So I just offered to take the picture. Took the picture for them, gave it back, and then that's how he and I started talking.
Okay.
So he was like, "Oh, that was so." He was like, "That was so nice," I was like, "Oh, well, I saw them trying to take the picture, so why not?" And then I was like, "By the way, I was at the Warframe panel. You were very funny," because he came and was like talking about his character, and he was like, "Well, now Arthur's not the hot one," and whatever. Right? He was being very tongue in cheek. So then he tells me how that moment like transpired. He was like, I was doing a signing and Rebecca said, if you happen to be free, like come and ask a question, whatever you want to ask. Right. So then I get like the behind the scenes scoop of how this happened.
That's
which was
awesome.
Very funny. And then he was like, oh, so he did ask who I write for, and I mentioned it was Gamer Social Club. Right. I didn't have like a card ready to go or anything, which now I regret. But it was just like, I was like, oh, we just write because we appreciate the games and we enjoy it and whatever. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I would voice act for free if I could. He was like, I just enjoy gaming and the gaming world, and this is just like a hobby, and I'm lucky enough to make it like what, and I was like, yeah, I was like, that's pretty cool. And I almost didn't take a picture with him, and then finally I caved, and I was like, all right, I'll take a picture.
Yeah. It gets to the point so far into the conversation, you're like, I don't want to break this barrier, but I kind of have to.
I was there for that clear debate that was going on in her head. I still have. I still probably could not pick him out of a lineup.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I could now.
He's the guy who looks like the guy from Final Fantasy 16. Yeah.
Clive.
Yeah, he looks like Clive.
It looks a little bit like Clive. Oh man.
A game that I still didn't finish.
Oh, it's so good though. I mean, it's very good. I loved it, but the ending, like the final boss, was kind of meh. Like, I mean, it's not that the fight itself was bad, but it was like the unveiling of who the final boss was kind of lame. Okay. But yeah, no, very, very good game. It is a game that I will replay at some point because I still got to play the DLC for that. Sorry, getting off track. No,
it was still related.
Shoot. No, but I'm so sorry. No, let's go ahead and get into coverage on the Oh, that's what I was gonna say. It's crazy to think that Ben Starr has heard the words Gamer Social Club. He now knows what that is. That is super cool.
I write for this. I write for this blog.
He was like, "Who do you write for?" I was like, "Oh, it's just a small site, Gamer Social Club. It's only been around for a little over a year." I was like, not too long. I was like, "We write because," I was like, "Our whole thing is we write because we enjoy gaming. We're not professionals." And he said it was like super cool, and that's when he mentioned like the voice acting thing, and I was like,
Yep.
"Oh, yeah." So we've dropped a little nugget in his mind, So if anyone sends this to Ben Starr, I was talking to you while you were looking at different dice.
That's sick. And then what about coverage on like the coverage on GSC?
Yeah, so I've done a little bit. I have one or two more that I definitely want to put up there. I did the studios that I saw so far, so Ocean Drive Studio and Bite Rockers, which I've actually been a fan of Bite Rockers for a couple years now. And I want to do one more sort of like the publishers that are publishing some really cool things, and then one or two games that don't quite fit into any of those criteria, that are like really self-published, self-whatever, but deserve a little bit of attention. So I'll probably do like a top 5 non-assorted type thing, and then there will be lots of demos in the upcoming demo disc.
Same.
Yeah.
So a lot of demo disc ones. I actually think we do already have a key for one game that I will be reviewing. Also Stardew adjacent, so I will be playing that afterwards. It's called Cornucopia.
Okay.
And I did I had my top 5 article, and they'll definitely be. I've been kind of reaching out with some of the developers I did speak with for possible, discussions about the game in the future. So we may have some, interviews, whatever those look like in the near future. Only because it's like, I don't want to impinge on y'all. However you want to do them kind of interviews. Like, do you want to do it via text message? Like, do you want to do it like a text-based one, or Discord, or Zoom? Because I know y'all are busy. And even as seeing some of these games as they come, the nice thing but tough thing about some of the games I looked at specifically, a lot of them are still just as coming soon kind of games. So it's kind of like seeing what that journey likes, and hopefully being able to kind of provide more coverage down the road. I mean, even not for nothing, even if I would just cover these games on my own because I enjoy them, honestly. So,
well, I mean, you talked about Kajora before, right?
yes.
And I think when we looked at it, it did not have a date.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we did get. So look, we'll release some information here.
We did get the email from the PR person. Yeah.
Kajora will release September 4th, 2025.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
no, it's on their page. My bad.
It's
My
on
bad.
there, okay.
Yep. It is on there. So we did.
I think
that.
we literally got that 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
I think it was after I had written the article that was talking about my top 5. I was like, when's Kajora coming? I don't know.
It is.
Oh gosh.
It is also planned for future releases on the Switch, the PlayStation 5, and Xbox.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, for those of you who do not know, our website, gamersocialclub.ca, we do a demo disc every month, led by Harry. He posts it on the first. Well, it's usually like at the very beginning of the month. It's not always right on the first, but it's supposed to encapsulate the feeling of buying a magazine back in the day where they had those demo discs of the games that were coming out that month. So, you can go into this article. There will be a whole bunch of games listed that are coming out within that month, and demos you can play that month. So it's a fun time. It's a fun time. Well, guys, is there anything else you guys want to say before we call it a day?
Just thank you for being an amazing host.
Oh, well,
thank you for hosting.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys doing this. Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I'm just now getting to this, but yeah, yesterday we had to cancel. We were second time in a row we were gonna do an episode about Assassin's Creed, and we're now pushing that back. It's at this point it's probably gonna be well after the showcases. that we're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed, because next week we're going to be covering our predictions and stuff. We're going to do a crossover episode with another podcast, but I'm not going to say yet until we get there. But yes, we're very excited about that. So make sure to tune in next week on Friday. My dogs will be here being distracting as well. But yeah, no, be sure to check in. We always air Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Saturday nights are not our usual nights. I know that's your guys' usual nights for streaming games, right?
Usually I stream on Fridays, but hey, if you keep streaming on Twitch, maybe that'll mean I'll just raid into a little podcast.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. You guys are welcome anytime, seriously, and I'll make sure to figure out how to get you in this chat, Sean.
We work. That's the important part.
Yeah, we got it to work for this at least. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, do you guys want to plug your sites and stuff?
Sure. You can find me on most social media, Candy X Bomb, because I never grew out of being 16 and on AIM, if people remember what that was like. So that's like Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Twitch. And I promise I'm not always just an animated character, but my real life background's a little messy, so this is what you get for a podcast.
What do you mean you're not an animated character? I don't understand.
I generated. I am real.
You know, this is the actual ending to the AI to you with you till the end. This is actually what happens: is you marry the avatar.
That's it.
But,
you marry the avatar, and then you're stuck here, and poor Nathan's like, oh, the podcast will only be like 60 to 90 minutes, and you're stuck with this AI generated avatar for much longer.
I love it. Well, hey, you know, that's basically the way it is every week, though. Like, we're always aim for 60 to 90 minutes, and then it's always 2 hours, you know. Or organized train wreck every week. You can count on it, you know?
Yeah. And I'm at King of the Cask everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok.
And that's Kask
Instagram.
with a C, just so you know.
Yes. King of the Cask.
I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to like look for your name on X or whatever, and I always type in K. And yeah,
most people actually think there's also an F in my name somewhere. There is not.
Really? Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
I mean, everyone always thinks King of the Cask. I'm like, no, there's no F there. It's a long name to begin with. I try to make it as short.
Maybe they have a lisp, but King of the Cask.
Maybe.
Just embracing your Irish roots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. And for me, I'm just one hot dragon. I'm just out here doing content for Gamer Social Club. One day I will have my own content, but that is somewhere over the rainbow. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you all.
We'll tell you to do it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, content coming tomorrow. 10 videos are prepped and ready to go. And my son's here to show you his snack banana.
Nice.
That's a cool looking banana, kid. All right. You all have a great day, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye, everyone.